Che bella cosa una giornata e sole. Oh no, tu sei più bella in me. Oh sole mio, stai a fronte a te. Oh sole mio, stai a fronte a te.
Welcome back, everybody. Bentornati to the Noi Tifiamo Napoli podcast. I'm your host, Raffa Rispo. I'm here with my guy, Daniel Russo, and we are here, and it's pretty crazy circumstances, right, Dan?
Absolutely nuts. What's going on?
It's insane, and a lot has happened since the last time we spoke. This past weekend, we drew Genoa 1-1 at the death, which I kind of called on the La Lanterna podcast, if anyone was following my Twitter. I was on the La Lanterna podcast with the fine guys over there, and I told them it would either be a 1-1 or a 2-1 Napoli, but the goals would come right at the death, and they would score first. And it's exactly what happened, right, Dan? And that led to the firing of Walter Mazzarri, and now we have brought in Francesco Calzona to come in and take over this team, third manager this season. Dan, what are we thinking, man? What the hell is going on?
I mean, I saw it coming. I think before the match, there was already rumblings of him parting ways, of us parting ways with Mazzarri. They're reporting it as a firing, but I'm not so sure it's as much of a firing as it is a mutual kind of parting of ways. I just think that they have to tell the fans that it's a firing, just to make De Laurentiis look like he's a little bit stronger in this situation. Mm-hmm. I personally think that Mazzarri wanted to quit. I personally think that that's what's been going on.
Okay.
I think there was already something going on after the Torino match that he wanted to quit. That he actually asked to quit.
What gave you that indication?
I don't know. I think he's seeing that he's just not righting the ship. And he's a very proud man, you could tell. I don't think he even saw himself as capable of righting the ship from now up until the end of the season, even with the additions of all these players that were injured for the most part of his tenure.
Why take the job?
He loves Napoli. He loves this team.
I love Napoli. I'd assume.
And it's. I guess he saw it as I'm returning to a place where I'm a loved character already, and or loved figure rather, and he has the chance of a lifetime to fix a situation for the Campioni d'Italia. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's never coached a team that won a championship. So, of course he was going to take the job. And he's towards the twilight of his career. Any job that he can get, he's going to take. I really wish it would have worked out differently with Mazzarri. I love the guy to death. This situation does not change my viewpoint on him.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Right.
Love him. He signifies my childhood. He's the guy that really, when his team put my club back on the map, in 10, 15 years ago, however long it was. So for me, love Walter, will always love him. Just unfortunately did not work out this time.
Yeah, and I tweeted this out earlier. Like this second stint doesn't define the legacy of Walter Mazzarri at Napoli, in my opinion, because he's given us so many great memories, in the beginning of our, Serie A experience under ADL, and he brought us our first trophy. We beat the unbeatable Juve. We got back to the Champions League with him. We had a very memorable first Champions League, and it's, I realize maybe fans that are more like new, that maybe missed the Mazzarri era, might have a certain feeling towards him, but I can never really. And is it really even his fault? Like, it's none of this is really his fault. Like, this whole thing is, the product of ADL, Garcia, and obviously, all of the moving parts that created this mess at Napoli this season. But I guess that's it, man. I mean, we move on. So here's my question to you. How do you feel about the decision to let him go now and bring in a new manager, a third manager, at this point in time, 2 days before Barcelona? How do you feel about that?
It's nuts, and honestly, it was going to happen regardless, but it's nuts in the timing of it. Maybe this gives una spinta, I don't know how would you say it, a push to the players for the game against Barcelona, because I already know that De Laurentiis is going to put a huge bonus above their heads if
He's
they
gonna
win.
Dangle the carrot, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I already know it, because this is his bread and butter. The Champions League is what he loves and what he needs for the club to survive. What we need for the club to survive. So, I think that's gonna be huge. But I want to give him the benefit that I keep wanting to give De Laurentiis the benefit of the doubt, but this season I don't think there's one decision he's made right so far. I really don't see any decisions that he's made right. So I don't know. We'll see.
I was not in favor of the decision. It had nothing to do with Mazzarri personally, like the way I feel about him personally, because I do still love the guy. That's not the reason I didn't want him to leave. And it has nothing to do with the replacement, who is Francesco Calzona. I don't have any feelings negatively or positively towards him either. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with Calzona being our manager, but I think and by the way, this is a part one. I did such a bad job at the intro, guys, because we kind of got to get this done, right? And this is a part one. Part two is a discussion with the folks at TotalBarca, and Alex. We spoke to him, and one thing that you said that, and everybody will hear this later, but one thing that you said that rang true is, like, this is a move that's 4 months too late.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming in that chat you were alluding to the fact that you would have liked to see maybe Calzona come in for Garcia instead of Mazzarri, or were you alluding to Garcia not being the right man in the beginning, and this whole, I don't know, because again, I don't mind Calzona being our manager, our caretaker manager for the rest of the season. But this is the third man. It's like relegation stuff. It's like Palermo. My cousin Dan said it the other day. It's like we're Palermo again with all these hirings and firings.
At this point, might as well get Ballardini.
I mean, that's that. Yeah, that's. Oh my God.
No, but answering your question, I was alluding to the first thing you said about. If Calzona was always an option, quote unquote, because look how fast we got him. Clearly, the contacts were already there.
Yes,
with Calzona
and
for
to be
a
fair,
while.
Napoli's social media had dropped his name a few times, so there definitely was some sort of idea about Calzona, but maybe ADL went the route and said, you know what, there's other guys available, and this guy's a national team manager. Maybe we don't need him. But then, Dan, if we had a proper DM, would this all be happening? That's another question. There's all these questions.
A proper DM, what do you mean?
A DS. What did I say? DM. DS. A director of sport. If we had a proper one,
that's the thing. But again, you hit the nail on the head, right? With the direttore sportivo, you needed Giuntoli when we first got him. I hate how people are saying, "Oh, Meluso, where does he come from?" Look at this, that, and this. What has he done? When we first got Giuntoli, all he had was Carpi. You know what I mean? So it's not like it would be the first time that we get somebody from basically a nothing organization and turn him into something. Mm-hmm. But, it took Giuntoli 3 or 4 years for us to see the fruit of his labor. Sure. At first we hated him. I hated him. The guys that he was buying, it was like Jonathan de Guzman and Michu.
David Lopez.
Right. I mean, some of them were, average, okay. You know what I mean? Some of them were horrendous players, that for us at least. So it was like, what is this guy doing? What is he thinking? But, but as a Campione d'Italia, you can't, there's certain levels that you have to meet. We have not met any of them. And my thing with saying that Calzona came 4 months too late, it's that this guy is a guy that knows Napoli already, knows the modern Napoli, knows the current Napoli. Not Mazzarri that knows the Napoli of 10 years ago, knows the Aronica Campagnaro Napoli. This is a different Napoli. It's a different era. And it's so unfair to put Mazzarri in that predicament where you're now coaching the Campioni d'Italia and you have to try to get them into the Champions League places from a huge deficit that Garcia left us in. Not only points-wise, but mentally. It's just not in any shape or form Mazzarri's fault. Do I think he could have done a little bit better? Obviously, tactics-wise, but it's again, that's not this team is not built for him, for his style.
Right. But at the same time, I thought it was unfair that he was given, the role, and his first 4 games were Atalanta, Real Madrid, Inter, Juve. He would end up losing Osimhen for 8 games due to AFCON, and it was a lost locker room. I just don't think that because I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of criticism towards Mazzarri, and it really is unfair to judge him based on what he's been handed, what he walked into. I think he walked into an absolute disaster, and he was asked to do something that was, in my opinion, he wasn't equipped for. Fine, I'll concede that, but also he wasn't, given, a lot of injuries, a lot of suspensions, a lot of, like I said, Osimhen out, Anguissa out, and I kind of feel like we should maybe have given him one more match against Barcelona. Dude, we played him Wednesday. It's Monday. He got sacked today. Tomorrow is Calzona's first training session with the team, and then it's Barcelona on Wednesday. I don't give a shit.
Something has to happen, Rafa.
Yeah, but I don't care how much experience he has with the team and how he's assisted Sarri and he's assisted Spalletti and so on and so forth. That's a very difficult situation to be put in, and Barcelona is a team that we would have lost to with Spalletti on the bench. If, I'm not saying last season's Napoli would have lost to Barcelona, because I don't think last season's Napoli would have lost to anybody. But, for a team to lose in the knockout stage to a team with the name of Barcelona is not something to be ashamed of, no matter who the manager is. But now I feel like if Calzona is in and we lose on Wednesday to a struggling Barcelona,
the shitstorm.
You know, and here's another thing. What if, why couldn't I just think that if ADL gave Mazzarri one chance against Barcelona with Osimhen to see what we could do, and if we get embarrassed, fine, let him go. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, I think we needed another game or two with him. Like, let Osimhen come back in and see what he does. Don't forget, like, when Mazzarri really didn't start playing well defensively, and until Osimhen left, when he changed things to a back three, started integrating a back five, like as Alex says later on, we've only given up 8 goals in 2024, which may seem like a lot, but Barcelona give up 24. Barcelona's given up 3 times the amount of goals that we have this season. And, 8 may be a lot in 8 games, but 24 since 2024 is crazy. Like, people think we have it bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, and I think Osimhen would have been a perfect balance to the all-out defense, to where, like, a counterattack is a lot more feasible with Osimhen there. It's a lot more practical with Osimhen there, and if we can play him a long ball, if we can get Kvara to get the ball, draw 2 defenders on him, and then you have a friggin' wide open, either Politano or Osimhen or what have you, Ngong, right? I just think that Mazzarri deserved another one last shot at this. We got the equalizer against Genoa. We pushed and pushed. I think we played a great first half. He subbed off. That might be it right there, man. He subbed off Ostigard at halftime.
Ostigard, yeah, that's it.
And I thought Ostigard was having a great game.
He was having a great game, and you know what? I wanted to highlight something you said, like, give him the extra game. If we get embarrassed, then yeah, let him go. I think that's really where it is. Therein lies what ADL's thinking is. If we get embarrassed, we're out of this competition. I give my team no chance. I give this new guy no chance of coming back in the second leg. I think that's where his thinking is.
But
I don't know.
Let me tell you something.
If he says,
go ahead.
What? No, go.
2012 Chelsea got embarrassed by Napoli 3-1, almost 4-1 at the San Paolo. They fired Villas-Boas, they brought in Di Matteo, and they won the freaking tie. You know what I'm saying?
But what if we didn't? What if it's not that close? Like 3-1, yeah, it seems like a drumming, but it's really not because there's a 2-goal deficit, right? I was in our conversation with Alex, which the viewers are going to see pretty soon. He's listing down the players, and I'm like, holy shit, they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's saying that they're crap this year, but
they are.
Damn,
they are. They're not good, dude. I watch them every week. They're not a good team. Like,
but my
getting
point
the results.
Is, like, these guys. My point is, yes, they're having a crap season, but these guys are still world-class players.
Yeah.
That's what, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So anything could happen. In a Champions League, once you hear that anthem, anything could happen.
Sure.
I don't know. I really want to be optimistic because I really think that we do have a shot to get through, regardless of who the coach is.
I do too.
I really do think. I even think that even if Mazzarri got that extra game, I really think we would have still played a great game as well. I think we would have played a great game even with Mazzarri there. I
think a lot of the sentiment about Mazzarri, that people saying that it's the right thing to do is because if Mazzarri, let's say we lose, but we played so good and like we hung in and it was a 1-0 or like a 2-1 or what have you, or maybe if we drew, but played our asses off and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, then that might give Mazzarri like a stay of execution, which means he keeps going. But at the same time, again, we have Osimhen now. Like Osimhen is, to me, will fix everything. And how much of if we win against Barcelona comes down to it was Calzona. See, guys, like I can just see it now. Why everybody that is so like for this decision, if we beat Barcelona, is going to say, see what I mean? Calzona is what we needed. Dude, I thought we could beat Barcelona when we drew them in the Champions League draw. Like let's not kid ourselves here. Mazzarri could have beaten Barcelona too. So I don't know. Listen, I want to give Calzona the benefit of the doubt because he's coming in, but then there's the factor that he's doing double duty, coaching Slovakia as well, and having to be at his 2 international friendlies in March and prep for the Euro, which they qualified for the group stage of, and like that's just to me is
there's that too, absolutely.
I don't
like,
see that working out in our favor, Dan. I don't see it.
Who's gonna coach the team when he's gone? With all the players that are left behind from the international calls, right?
You're gonna have to rely on assistant coaches to run training. Yeah, I mean,
right.
To be fair, most of the team will be with their national teams, but Napoli still train. Like the players still train. It's not like everybody gets a free week off. There's still some sort of training going on.
Look, but they need to. Whatever it is, from now until the end of the season, they owe it to the fans to put a decent product on the field for the rest of the season because what we've been shown this season is nothing short of pathetic. It's been pathetic. Yeah. Absolutely pathetic from top to the bottom. From where De Laurentiis is all the way to the last player or to Tommy Staraj Kefalkove. That it's been pathetic all the way from the top to the bottom, and fortunately it's not even March yet, so we have a chance to do something here.
Yeah.
But they got to do it at some point. They got to do it.
If we've been scoring more goals, we wouldn't even have this issue, and that's what I think. That's again one of the things I think that we miss Osimhen about, right? I mean, like, what is he? I feel like he's still the team's leading goal scorer.
He is, and that's embarrassing.
I think he missed something like 13 or 14 matches this season, out of 20. I think what have we played 24 now, right? And he's at 7 goals.
You're talking just Serie A?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking just Serie A. But, all right. Well, okay. So Calzona's in. He like we said, he's has experience with Napoli. The players know him. Well, the older players know him. The players that were on the team 2 years ago know him. But, I don't know. I'm just really confused by everything. And I just think that changing it up, it's not like to my knowledge, it's not like Mazzarri lost the locker room like Garcia did, right?
It doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't seem that way. Garcia, everybody points out that, Garcia had better points total in 12 games over Mazzarri, 21 for Garcia and 15 for Mazzarri, fine. But Mazzarri did not lose the locker room. And for me, that's a big thing, I'm sure
they were still running on Spalletti's memory.
Yeah, and I'm sure they didn't build a bond like they had with Spalletti with Mazzarri. But you're kind of like, okay, this is our second manager. We're trying. It's not like the guys aren't trying out there. They're definitely trying. I mean, the product sucks, and Rahmani's terrible, and we're not scoring goals, and Mazzarri made better decisions than Garcia did in the match, and he's played the new players. It's not like he hasn't played them. Okay, they didn't start, but like Mazzocchi starts or plays in every game. Ngong has been coming in off the bench and doing well, getting us goals. Dendoncker himself has been coming in. He's playing Lindstrom more than anybody did. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. The really quickly, because I know we got to jet out of here. The starting 11 against Barcelona. What do you think, Dan? Meret?
Yeah, I think definitely Meret is going to end up starting again.
Meret had a good game against Genoa, man. His first match back, he played really well. I thought he was solid back there. I thought he was pretty solid back there. And then we got, of course, Di Lorenzo. And now, who do you go with? Mazzocchi? Do you go with Mazzarri? Do you go with Oliveira on the left? What do you think?
I'd love to see Mazzocchi, especially for him to have his first game in the Champions League in his career as a Neapolitan. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, what happened in his debut? You know, like
I know. He's been
the
playing
nerves,
great,
man. The nerves can get to him.
So right,
the nerves
you're
can
right.
get to him. I think I'd rather have experience back there. I'd go Mazzarri to start.
But is he even fit?
Not injured.
Is he fit to play?
Is he? That's what I was just thinking. Is he injured? Then I'd go with Oliveira to start. Honestly.
It'd probably be Oliveira, yeah.
I'd rather start Oliveira over Mazzocchi. Not that I favor one over the other, but I like I just said, man. The nerves, the first game at the Maradona in the Champions League is against Barcelona in a knockout. We can't really,
You're right.
Can't really, gamble there. But
no, I respect
two center
that.
backs. Who do you think?
It's gonna be Rahmani and
And you think Natan gets the start?
Yeah.
You think it's Natan?
I mean, Natan looked horrendous against Genoa. He looked out of sorts. I mean, it is very difficult. Like, as a player, judge from experience, being thrown into a match halfway as a defender is the worst. So I understand why Natan played terrible, but I think they're going to end up going with probably Ostigard. But what's going on with Juan Jesus? Is he injured?
I know he was suspended.
Was he suspended? Oh, okay.
I think he was suspended for the game against Genoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the
missed me. I don't know.
I
guess Natan.
Possibly Natan. Yeah. I mean, listen, Natan's also getting over an injury and coming back, and I think honestly maybe I'd go with Ostigard to start. But we'll see. I'm thinking Lobotka and Gisa and Traore in the midfield. What do you think?
I saw that. I saw a little bit of that today. I think Di Marzio said that that's the possible trio.
Okay.
In the midfield for Wednesday.
Okay.
I think Traore could do well in that position in the Zelinski type of mezzala role.
Right.
He was kind of like a trequartista in that game against Genoa, but it was like so blocked that game because Genoa's playing 10 guys right on their box. It's like impossible to play. Yeah. No space. So.
And then up front, Kvara, Politano, Osimhen.
Yeah, reluctantly I say Politano because that guy's been. I don't think he deserves a
what happened to him,
right
man?
Now.
He had such a hot start.
Rafa, if I
I think he was the only guy that liked Garcia, man. Like, remember when he scored? He ran over to him and hugged him.
He didn't like Garcia. He was playing for a contract. I see right through these. I'm gonna refrain from saying something.
Listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. He signs the contract, and now he's.
And then all of a sudden he's shit. Come on, man.
Well, it remains to be seen. Dan, I know we have to go, so we're going to go into part 2. I'll come back to finish up, but I know you have a little spot with the Calcio guys, our friends over there. So if you guys are listening to this, look for the Calcio guys episode coming out. Dan Russo's about to record with them now. Like I said, I'll come back to clean up the episode, and Dan, let's cross our fingers. Hopefully we can come away with this first leg with something out of this first leg. Barcelona also need to beat us like in both legs and then win a quarterfinal game for them to qualify for this Club World Cup as well. They also need Atletico to lose both games. Otherwise it doesn't work out. So they're in a similar situation with us, man. And we covered all of this with Alex from Total Barca. right here. So enjoy the chat with Alex, and I'll see you in a few. All right, you guys. Dan and myself are here with Alex from TotalBarca. Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing brilliantly, and thank you again, guys, for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I'm really, really excited about the game on Wednesday.
We're very excited too. We're here talking about the first leg of the UEFA Champions League round of 16, which is this Wednesday coming up. Two teams that are in pretty similar situations. They're in different places at the in their respective tables, but I can't say that our situations are that much different, right, Dan? I mean, we just lost a manager, our second one of the season as reigning champions is pretty crazy. We've hired an ex-assistant twice for Napoli, who is the current manager of Slovakia, and Francesco Calzona. And Barcelona's in the same situation where Xavi is not willing to stay past this season. And Barcelona, while third in the table and, pulling out wins and getting results, just don't have their stuff together. So I'm going to start with asking you this. What is the biggest difference, Alex, between last season, where you guys were incredibly defensively beautiful, like one of the best teams in Europe as far as defense goes, winning the La Liga title, to this season where you guys, your defense is a little less than good? I know there's a lot of injuries, but what's the main difference between last season and this season?
Honestly, it is so bizarre. Last season was the best defensively I've ever seen Barca. It was our best ever defensive record. We broke multiple records in La Liga for goals conceded. And the funny thing is that our defence is exactly the same. It's not like we've lost centre-backs. Our injuries this season haven't really come to our defenders either. The only clear difference between last season and this season is that Busquets left and we have not replaced him. We don't have a DM in the squad. We signed Oriol Romeo we weren't 100% sure that he could play in Barca at this level, and he can't. I like the guy, but it's very clear he doesn't look like he's got any legs. He's awful under pressure, and Xavi has basically had to resort to. I mean, right now, and I think on Wednesday we're going to be playing Andreas Christensen as a defensive midfielder. Obviously, he's a centre back, and that's for me the biggest. That's the only real change. I mean, in 2024 we've conceded 25 goals. I was looking at your guys' stats just before. You've conceded 8 in the same time. It's ridiculous, honestly. We are leaking goals. Even in games that we win, we still manage to concede 2 or 3. And honestly, it's my biggest worry for Wednesday.
One of the real problems Napoli have is attacking.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, so, that's relieving to hear.
Yeah, well, with Victor Osimhen being away for AFCON, we've started Giovanni Simeone up front, and it hasn't really been going good. As much as we all love Simeone as Napoli fans, it just hasn't worked out. So you mentioned our 8 goals against. We're not finding the net. Osimhen, as of yesterday, was a doubt. Quote unquote according to the media for this Wednesday. There was a small doubt if he'd play, but I would bet any amount of money that he will play. You're attacking though. You're able to find the net. Lewandowski scored 2 on the weekend, or 1 last-minute penalty that was retaken, and he scored a really, really good goal to get the lead early in the game. Are you gonna need Lewandowski to be on tip-top shape against Napoli's somewhat rebounding defense, or what are you expecting to get out of this tie?
100%. I think our best games this season also coincide with Lewandowski's best games. When he plays well, we seem to play well. But I am slightly worried, especially away from home in the first leg, about scoring goals. We seem to have also developed another problem this season where we create loads of chances but can't. We miss the easy chances and score the more difficult chances, and away from home, especially in Europe, over the past 6 or 7 seasons, it's been really, really poor. To be honest, I'd love a 1-1. I mean, even a draw in this first leg, honestly, for me, I would take. I know there's a lot of Barca fans that, looking at Napoli's situation and thinking it'll be an easy ride, but my big worry is that we won't score.
Right, and a lot of Napoli fans that I know are usually pessimistic by nature. Given the fact that we're playing a La Liga team that, we don't have a great record against La Liga teams, the fact that we don't have a great record against Barcelona, but I usually mention this isn't your older brother's Barcelona. And even at the barbershop that I own, Alex, I work with, one of my partners is a massive Barcelona fan who's also a Napoli fan because we turned him into one. And we watch every game. And usually, even in seasons past, he's never really satisfied with performance. Even last season, as you guys won La Liga and were so sound defensively, and to me, winning the game is winning the game. He would complain and moan and groan about how they played, and it was almost he didn't really care that they won the La Liga. He just was so upset with how they played. And this season, it's translated into pretty much I wouldn't say crisis situation because you're pretty safe in third there, but I guess he's justified in being upset with their performance. The Stadio Maradona is a rough place to travel to, and you guys are coming into a team that's not very what's the word I'm looking for? They're not in a great situation, as like I just mentioned earlier, they sacked their manager. They'll have one training session with a new manager, and then they're going ahead to play against Barcelona. So for the first time in a while, I've had the feeling that Napoli's backs are against the wall for this one. I maintained that Napoli could beat Barcelona, at least come away with a draw, in one of these 2 legs, advance to the next round just as much as Barcelona could beat Napoli this season. But are you and your fan base aware that we have a manager who's going to have his first training session tomorrow and then go into this match against Napoli against Barcelona Wednesday?
Funnily enough, when it was officially announced, or when Fabrizio Romano announced it today about your new manager, there was a lot of fear amongst Barca fans because obviously there's this new manager bounce that everybody talks about. But it does seem very soon. I mean, as you say, you'll have one training session before the game.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know loads about this new manager. Are you optimistic about him?
Well, I'm not optimistic about the situation. I wonder what Dan feels. But what do you feel, Dan?
For me, I think this is 4 months too late with Calzona. This is a guy that, if this was always on the table, for example, like Hamsik mediating this deal with the Slovakian FA to get him in, to kind of cozy them up to letting him coach us and Slovakia. I don't see why we couldn't do this before Mazzarri. I don't understand why we got Mazzarri in the first place when we knew his style of football does not translate to our team currently. We just wasted so much time with him, and I think the fact that he has a plethora of experience with Napoli already, not that Mazzarri didn't, obviously he did as well, but that's 10 years ago. This is a guy that just has been under Sarri's wing in the 3-year Sarri era, and Spalletti's wing for 1 year, right before the Scudetto. So, I'm much more optimistic about having Calzona with us than I would have if we still had Mazzarri going into this game. Obviously, it's not ideal, only having one training session going into the game, but, you got to do what you got to do at some point. Because the way we're going, it was impossible.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at, Alex, is that Calzona was a former assistant under Maurizio Sarri. I believe it was all 3 years. And then he came back to assist Luciano Spalletti for the first season he was in charge. So he did miss last season. But I think what's going to happen is the players are going to see this familiar face come in. And somebody that's been managing, assisting under, beautiful teams that Sarri led and Spalletti led, and kind of get it going right away. What I find worrying is the new players that we've brought in since that might not know who Calzona is, that might not, and listen, we play the style that we played last season, and everybody knows how to play that. That's what we've built towards, like Dan mentioned. But once again, in my opinion, I would have kept Mazzarri for this first leg, seen how that went down, especially with an Osimhen, and then moved on from there. If you remember, Alex, the 2011-2012 Chelsea team fired Roberto Di Matteo fired
Villa's boss.
Villa's boss.
It was right after our game.
Right. It was the match. The match that we beat Chelsea at the San Paulo 3-1. He got sacked right after that match. Di Matteo came in, and they ended up winning the whole Champions League. So, so I'm not saying it's a terrible move, but I'm not too sure of the timing of it. But also, we have a manager who's playing double duty, and he'll be focused on Slovakia and the Euros as well. So that's something that I just didn't agree with. But let's talk about Xavi, since we're talking about managers, and we've already talked about all this stuff before, in our earlier segment. Xavi is gone at the end of the season. How have the players responded? How have how has the society responded? What is the plan going forward? And how do you feel about Xavi leaving?
I think this. If Xavi wasn't who he is as a Barca legend and didn't have the past history he's had as a player, then I think it'd be a lot easier for us fans. I mean, for me personally, I love him, absolutely adore him. One of my favourite Barca players ever. But at the same time, the results. I think Xavi created his own problems by having such a good season last season, winning the league by 10 points. We kept the squad together in the summer. Okay, we didn't sign a DM, but the expectations for this season were even higher. I mean, if we could win the league with such ease last season, we've got to at least challenge for it this season, which we haven't done so far. And we kind of entered this situation where there was so much pressure from the media, so much pressure from the fans. Xavi himself said that, it's kind of unsustainable for him to continue. And by announcing that he was leaving ahead of time, it has kind of eased some of that pressure. It almost feels like, okay, he's still here now, but he's already announced he's going to be leaving. There's no kind of, especially with the media, it's almost like they've held off him a bit now. The one positive I'd say is that he's never lost the dressing room. The players have always seemed 100% committed. I mean, even after he announced that he was going to be leaving, multiple players came out in the media and said that they wish he'd change his mind and that they wish he could continue. He's so popular with the players, it's unbelievable, which is a good thing, because I think as soon as you lose the dressing room, I don't know if it was the same for your managers, maybe they lost the dressing room, but you've got to go at that point. So he's bought himself a bit of time with that, but I mean, going forward for us, I think another positive is that there's a lot of managers available this summer, it seems. And we will be targeting a top manager. I don't know who it's going to be. Right now, it's looking pretty likely that it'll be a German manager, whether it's Hansi Flick or Julian Nagelsmann. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, Xavi's done or will have done pretty much 3 seasons with Barca now, which for a Barca manager, that is a long time. They don't really last longer than 3 seasons. So
I've always seen Nagelsmann at Barcelona.
100%.
Ever since his Hoffenheim days. I've always seen it.
I think he'd be a really good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very attacking-minded manager as well, isn't he, Nagelsmann? Doesn't he have...
Absolutely.
Yeah, he plays a similar style as how we play at Napoli. Hansi Flick is another really good option. You know, he's won at Bayern Munich. He's got the German national team now, and they're not doing very well. But I mean, I think international managing and club managing is two different worlds. So, Dan, you have anything to add with Alex? A question?
I did have one question. I wanted to ask you, Alex. I'm looking up the injuries. I know you guys had a little bit of a crisis at one point with injuries.
Yeah.
Very similar to us. We had almost our full starting 11 out at some point. But I'm looking at them, and obviously Gavi's a big miss.
Huge.
Also, there's Balde. I wanted to ask you, how much are you guys missing Balde? Because I remember last season he was awesome. I don't know, what is it like this season with him?
Again, this was a really, really strange one. As you said, last season, unbelievable. He basically came out of nowhere. He skipped the B team and went straight from pretty much what is the under-19s to the first team. And he was outstanding at left-back. Honestly, one of the best left-backs I've seen in a while. I think he was one of the best left-backs in Europe last season. And then this season, again, something's happened to our defence, and I'm not sure if it is just a lack of a defensive midfielder, but the first few games he was playing, he just looked a bit out of his... It was almost a reverse of last season when he looked so confident and looked so assured, and eventually Cancelo took his place at left back, and Jules Koundé would play at right back. And now obviously he's injured and out for the season, but yeah, that was another weird one. A lot of the fans are a bit confused with that. For a player that looked like he was going to be our left back for the next 10 years. And I think he still has a great future here. But yeah, that was a big loss this season. I don't know what quite happened there, if there was something going on with him, but hopefully when he comes back, he'll be back to that form.
Yeah. And there's these the 2 players that honestly I hear so much praise for them and also so much criticism. Felix and Torres. I want to know your opinion on them. What do you think of them?
Yeah, as you say, both injured right now. I think Felix might travel with the squad tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain. Torres definitely won't. Well, I'll start with Felix. I think that a lot of fans were excited. He's an exciting player, and we do only have him on a loan. I think he's had probably as many good games for us as he's had bad games. I don't think he's a winger, which is where he's have to play for us, really. As we say, we do only play with one striker. I think he's just very frustrating. I think it was the same at Atletico, and I think it was the same at Chelsea. I just think there's a really, really top player in there. I don't know if he needs the right manager or the right situation to kind of fully show it like he did at Benfica. And I'm also not sure he's going to get the chance at Barca. I don't think we'll have the money to sign him this summer. So I don't know if Atletico are going to try and sell him somewhere else. And for Torres, I think that last season it was really poor. So we signed him in January of 2022. He had an amazing 6 months, was one of the best players at the club for that 6 months. and then last season was really off the boil, kind of just looked out of sorts. But he did come out and say that, he's having a lot of struggles mentally with his mental health last season. And this season, he just looks like a completely different player. He is a big loss for us because he's a good goal scorer. And yeah, if there was one player that I wish we could start tomorrow, it'd be him.
Awesome. Who
You mentioned...
Sorry, Raf. Go
ahead. Go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
I was going to ask him, who do you think is going to be in the starting 11 for tomorrow, or for Wednesday's game?
Okay, I think there's a few different variations. Our back four's pretty much constant. Koundé, Araujo, Martinez, I think, will play, and Cancelo. As I say, I think Christensen will play in midfield with Pedri and Frenkie. And then the front... Yeah, I mean, the problem we've got now is that because Ferran and Felix are both injured, we don't really have a left-sided winger. Yamal will definitely play on the right. Lewandowski will definitely play up front. And it remains to be seen what Xavi will do on the left. On the weekend, we played Vitor Roque, our new Brazilian striker. But he's not really a winger. I think Xavi will play Gundogan in the middle, let Cancelo push up down the left, and in possession, I think we'll defend with three at the back, with the three centre-backs, let Cancelo go up down the left, and probably our best and the most success we've had this season is when Gundo and Pedri are allowed to just roam around in the middle, create chances. They're both brilliant midfielders, and I think that's our biggest danger tomorrow. On Wednesday.
And how happy are you to have Ter Stegen back after his spell out?
Yeah, that was another weird one. Ter Stegen's been at the club probably almost 10 years now. He's never been injured. That was a really bad injury to get. Obviously, we played Iñaki Peña, who, he's been at the club a while. He is just a backup goalkeeper. But it did hurt us a lot. We conceded a ridiculous amount of goals then. But then Ter Stegen's come back, and he hasn't yet looked... I don't know if he's still struggling a bit, but he hasn't yet looked 100% comfortable, which is really worrying, because he saved us so many times last season and was a huge reason as to why we were so good defensively. And I think we're going to need a big game from him on Wednesday. I've got to say, I'm very afraid of Osimhen. Very afraid.
Yeah, if you've got, if we've got to fit Osimhen, there's reason to be afraid. I mean, listen, last season's two teams, I think Napoli take it by far, but this season, obviously, we talked about how similar our situations are. I mean, the odds on the betting front is insane. I think it was like Napoli plus 120, Barcelona plus 110. And the draw was like a plus 260 or something like that. It was very close, very close. You mentioned money, not having money to buy, players. Let's talk about that for just a second, then we'll let you go. What's the status of Barcelona's financial right now? Like what are we looking at? Because in conversations at the barbershop, my barber Gil says that these guys are renting out Camp Nou to have wedding parties there, and the trip to the States to play against Club America one day after they played in La Liga. It didn't make any sense to me, and he's trying to describe to me what the issue is there. Can you quickly talk up your financial troubles at the moment, and why is it that you're in this situation?
Yeah, it's such a long, horrible story, but to put it quite briefly, pre-COVID, in the few years before COVID, probably from about 2017, the club were making better revenues than we've ever made before. It was almost €1 billion a year. The club was in such a healthy financial situation that our then president, Bartomeu, was giving out these ridiculous contracts, spending these ridiculous transfer fees. I mean, we paid 400 million for Dembele, Coutinho and Griezmann. They all flopped. We lost over 250 million selling them on. There was also some awful shady dealings, and then the contract which Bartomeu gave out, we still can't get rid of now. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say that we are paying Frenkie de Jong, and I love Frenkie de Jong, but he is being paid €700,000 a week, which is absolutely inconceivable.
That's
it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. The problem we've got now is the club, post-COVID, is making great revenues again. The problem we've got, one, is the wages. Two, we lost European money over the last couple of years by falling into the Europa League, and that ruined our budgets because we were budgeted taking into account the fact that we were going to be in the Champions League. And we've also been hit very hard by La Liga's sustainability rules. So they've basically capped our salaries. They've capped how much money we can spend on transfers, but they've also capped how much money. So say we sell a player for 50 million, we are not then allowed to spend 50 million on signing a player. We can only spend about 30% of that at the moment. Wow. It's a bit ridiculous, I think, but the rules there are obviously to make sure that clubs don't go bankrupt, and they're done in good faith. But that's really harming us at the moment. I mean, I think that over the past couple of years, well, specifically in 2022, we were able to spend a lot in the summer, but a lot of it was in installments and future fees. Obviously, we sold off a lot of TV rights as well to make these transfers happen. But I think the good news now is that the financial situation, we're a lot safer than we were 2 years ago. The club isn't really in any danger at the moment of going bankrupt or, being kicked out for FFP. Yeah, and that's thanks to Laporta. I think he's done a great job financially. Obviously, these little gigs we do, going to America and these friendlies and stuff, we kind of still have to do them. But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say we won't be spending 100 million on Kimmich in the summer or these ridiculous.
Well, we don't have to worry about Kvaratskhelia coming to Barcelona next season.
No, exactly. That's another one.
I did see that report, and my buddy Gil, like, his eyes went wide for that one. But it was funny because go ahead.
How much would you take for him if he was to leave this summer? How much would you want to get?
To be honest with you, last season's Kvaratskhelia, I would take 120 million. This season's Kvaratskhelia, he's dipped in form a little bit, so I would have to probably drop that a little, maybe to 70 or 80. Okay. But you have to understand that, Premier League teams rate and value players so highly that it's ridiculous. 80 to 100, I think, is the right valuation for Kvaratskhelia. He's still young. He still has a lot to learn, as brilliant as he is, but he also really does need help. He gets double, triple teamed, and then, you can stop him easily. So that's one thing Barcelona has to worry about with Kvaratskhelia, is being able to double, triple team him. But then if Osimhen's back, you're leaving one of, the other guys open to feed him. So I do believe that Kvara will go at some point for a high amount. I don't think he's ready to leave just yet. I'll give him another year, maybe two. But for you, and not just because you're on our show, because I saw, it was between Kvara or Nico Williams. Who would you pick to join Barcelona? Kvaratskhelia or Nico Williams?
Based on... a lot of it will be based on price alone, because Nico does have a 50 million release clause. Okay. I'd probably... the problem is that we keep signing right wingers, and we don't have a left winger. So I don't know if we could afford to sign another one, to be honest. I love Nico Williams. I think he's going to be one of the best players in Spain. But I also think that whichever of these top elite clubs does sign Kvaratskhelia, I think that could... I mean, if Madrid signed him, I'd be very annoyed, because I think he's going to carry on exploding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't hit the tip of the iceberg yet, and he his first season with Napoli, he absolutely outshone all of the critics, and except for this one, I called it. I called that he would light up the league last season. Oh yeah, I called it all over the place.
How much did you buy him for?
10 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 10
That's
million
good scouting.
from Dinamo Butami. Napoli known for that. And that's that's the thing, is that even though we have this down season, Alex, we have the ability to, rebound, and next season should be a lot better. When you think about it, if we don't qualify for the Champions League this season, or if we don't qualify past Barcelona in the Champions League this season, and one of our goals, I believe, is to qualify for this Club World Cup. And if we were to get past Barcelona and maybe win one game in the quarterfinal, we could overtake Juventus for the second Italian spot. Now, if that doesn't happen, and if we don't qualify top 4 or 5, whatever it may be this season for Serie A, we're selling Victor Osimhen in the summer, and his release clause is set at 135. So we're making money either way. So the rebuild will be there, but what we failed to replace a proper DS this season, director of sport. Obviously we had the manager issue with Garcia losing the locker room and Mazzarri not getting the results. So it's been a really tough time, and that's why, like, even at the barbershop, everybody's like, I don't know who's going to win. It's funny because based on what each of our teams do, again, we watch every Barcelona and Napoli game. It's like we'll watch one Napoli game and be like, oh, Barcelona's going to kick our ass. And then we'll watch the Barcelona game and then we'll be like, I don't know. I think Napoli have a chance. It's a real toss-up, and I'm so excited for that because in the past, we had Messi, the COVID season, we had to play them, and then we had to deal with a Barcelona that was still dangerous, first season without Messi, but in the Europa League. And, I guess that's going to do it. I mean, we pretty much ran out of time, but Alex, I want to, before you leave, I want you to give your prediction for tomorrow's leg. I'll invite you to return for the return leg.
Sure.
And I want you to plug yourself and your entity.
Absolutely. Okay, so my prediction for Wednesday, I've got to be optimistic. I'm always the optimist. I'm going to go for 2-1 Barca.
There you go. You and I are the two optimistic. I'm a super optimistic Napoli fan. Like you have no idea. It's to a fault at a lot of the time.
Same.
And where can we find you guys?
We're basically solely on Twitter at TotalBarca. I mean, if you're interested in Barca news or whatever, come and follow us. We're definitely the best Barca account. Although I might be a bit biased, but that's where to find us for sure.
You're the best in English. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. And again, guys, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, Alex, thank you very much, and enjoy the game. And we'll see you in a few weeks. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, 100%. See you soon, guys.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
See ya.
And there you have it, guys. That's our chat with Alex from Total Barca. Follow them at Total BARCA on X. That's the show. Dan is off recording as we speak with the Calcio guys, so make sure you catch that before the game as well. And we're in a very peculiar time here at Napoli, and we've got about 14 or so games in Serie A to see how we do. Top 4 is not unattainable. We still have a game in hand. We do play a lot of really tough games, but it's just the way it is, and let's see how we do under Calzona now. Really quick, I wanted to kind of plug, Serie A is holding a watch party at Montclair State University in New Jersey. It is Sunday, March 3rd for the Napoli-Juve game, and all are invited. Please visit the Tri-State Napoli Club social medias and even mine for more information. There's a link to go ahead and reserve a spot, pretty much RSVP. If you want to bring the family, you got to do each individual RSVP separately. And let's go. Come out. Let's. I'll be there. I'm not sure if Dan will be there. I forgot to ask him, but the club will be there. It'll be a good time. Hopefully, we have some momentum going into that one where we can pull away with a win. That would be nice. But and then as well, in addition to that, I will be attending Italy against Ecuador at Red Bull Arena on March 24th. I'll be in section 105. Come say hi to me. Hit me up on social media if you're there that day. If you have my number or my WhatsApp, hit me up and come say hi. Let's chat. Also, look for an announcement on some tailgating, because we'll be doing tailgating before that too. I think the Tri-State Napoli Club is finalizing a deal with Tifosi Napoli Club New Jersey to do a collaboration tailgate before the game. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So that's March 3rd at Montclair State University, Napoli-Juve watch party, hosted by Serie A, and Italy against Ecuador at Red Bull Arena on March 24th. Visit all our socials to get more information. Don't forget to listen to Shadow of Vesuvio in the Shadow of Vesuvio with Henry Bell and Michele Borelli. Hi, you guys. How you doing? We're all part of the Far From Vesuvius network. Follow us at Far From Vesuvius. Follow Noi Tifiamo Napoli on X at Tifiamo NA_FFV. Follow our Instagram, Tifiamo NAP_FFV. And hopefully we'll meet again for a post-match for some good news between the Napoli-Barcelona Champions League game. Enjoy, everybody. Ciao for now. Forza Napoli sempre.